Okay, so here's the start of part 2, the reassembly of the vent window here. I just polished the frame of this. This didn't come up very well, nor did the handle, but the handle is pot metal, so I didn't really expect it to come up much. What I'm going to do first is I'm going to insert this bit of weather stripping into this metal frame here. And no rivets retain that. Then what I'm going to do is I'm going to take one of these flat pieces here and I'm going to rivet it to this before I rivet it to the main frame here. And one guy has suggested against that because I believe he said the same thing that I said in the last video, which is that this has to tuck up underneath a portion of this. But I'm going to take a chance on that I can still get it under there, because it'll be just so much easier to, do these rivets when it's apart than it will be once it's assembled, because this one is so far up into this corner here that I can't even see how you got any tool on it. Anyways, let's go to it. Okay, so the rubber is back in to the frame, and I've placed the glass back in the frame as well. I haven't got the pivot pin in place yet. Now, if you remember in the previous video, I talked about using pop rivets to replace these rivets. I don't see any way that you could make a pop rivet work in place of this one. So if you were going to do that, you probably would be better off to take these two rivets out and completely remove the pivot rather than try and make something work here. Like you could probably squeeze a pop rivet in there and not completely squeeze it all the way, just enough so that it ballooned out here a bit, but didn't completely tighten up. But it's always going to be loose up in here because the hole is just that much bigger. You can see the step on this. It's quite large. So that wouldn't work that well. Now, next thing I'm going to do here is I'm going to put this on. I figured it'd be a good test for how to collapse these or crimp these rivets here. And I'll try it on that one, which is supposed to be legendarily hard, but we'll see how it goes. But I'll do it on this one first, and we will see. If I have any tips on any kind of technique about how to do it properly, I'll pass them on. Okay, so I got the rivets put in place on this piece here. I tried two different ways. I tried putting it with the rivet heads facing upwards into the channel here. And I also tried it the stock way, which was where the crimped portion actually faces into the channel. This one is a good example of why you should make sure that this tool is well centered over top of the actual rivet. I caught the edge of the rivet and it didn't quite crush correctly. When you're crushing them, you do have to make sure that there's a good solid backing piece. I had this underneath here when I was crimping those first two, here and here. Otherwise, you'll just spread the channel out if you don't back it with something. These two, I flipped them over and I just had them sitting on top of here as I crushed them. I don't know that they look any better. I don't know that if it's going to be a problem in the channel here or not. I found it a little bit harder to do these ones without nicking up, like these two right here, without nicking up the edge of the weather stripping with this tool here. You kind of have to force it into here to get it to even come close to the center of that tool. That's why the first one kind of didn't turn out the way I expected. Anyways, so I guess the next step now is for me to join this to that piece. So let's get that done. Okay, so I got the frame held together with some Clecos just so that I could see how it's going to go. I think I'm going to put the crimped side of the rivet on this side, on the channel side for all of these. I think it's just going to be that much easier. If it ends up being a problem with the felts, then I'll deal with it then, but I don't think so. Okay, so I got the frame riveted together. I did these, how I had to. They're not very easy to get in there. I did try some pop rivets. 1/8 inch are too small. I couldn't get them to pull, and I didn't have anything that wasn't a lot bigger. But yeah, those two up top, I did one way and one the other way. It was just easier to do that way. You really have to pound on them to get them to crush to the point where they're actually holding. This seems fairly solid right now. Apart from that, the only other advice I would say is it was a lot easier to put this piece in before I put it back together, but it is a bit of a problem around these points here. I've come to the conclusion that I think I got a bad set of gaskets. Either they're not a left and a right. There's no such thing as a left and a right, or they sent me two rights, because you actually look at it and that groove matches up on this side with where that pivot is, and that's obviously going to be reversed for the opposite side of the vehicle. So I don't know. I'll try it. We'll see how it goes. I'll cut the notch out with a pair of, razor knife here. But yeah. Anyways, I'm just a little frustrated with this whole operation. It'd be way easier to just drill them out a little bit and use the right size of pop rivet. I can't see these things holding very well. Like the whole frame is all braced into the truck. But then again, if this moves, the whole window channel is actually essentially moving, so it's kind of a bit of a pain. You want them solid. Regardless, okay, I'm going to put the glass in and see if I can figure out a smart way to do that pivot rivet. Okay, so the vent window is fully reassembled. Sorry I didn't include any more video of that. I don't know that there was much more that was that helpful. But it goes back together pretty much the same as it came apart. You put the vent window in. I crushed that rivet. It looks none too neat. I'm not too happy with it, but I guess as long as it holds together. I can't say I'm particularly happy with the seals. This is the right seal for the passenger side of the truck, and it's pulling away here. If I had some advice, I would have put some weather strip adhesive in the channel here to hold it in place better. I think I would go to pop rivets for these things, because they can't hold any worse than these things appear to be. The frame does have more flex in it than it did before. The seals won't let me latch this window anymore, so what I'm going to probably have to do is just file a little bit off the back side of this thing. There's a little roll pin that holds it in place, so I can take it off and knock it off and do it that way. But that I find a little frustrating. Apart from that, I think it's going to be okay. I'm not looking forward to doing the driver's side one. A lot of wrinkles in the weather stripping here. This stuff isn't very good quality. I don't know if this is old stock or if this is just the state of things for today. Regardless, I hope this was helpful. I didn't tell a lot here. Some of the things I'll give you advice with if you want it for the rivets here. Let's make sure you back up the non-crushing side with something hard, like steel block like that I had in the vise. Keep an eye on your gaps here. That'll tell you if you've crushed it enough. You can feel it. It starts to get quite solid when you've crushed it as far as it's going to crush. But just keep an eye on that as well. That's probably about it. You really, I did it all myself, but you really do need an extra set of hands to hold the thing as you're crushing some of these things. If I had some advice about the pivot rivet, knock those out. And put it that way. Don't deal with this one, because this one I can see right here. It doesn't look very good, and it's not even rotating concentrically. I don't think. I think it's a little off. It's a little loose in the hole. Put it that way. Apart from that, I think that's it that I'm going to bother videoing today. So, anyways, thanks for watching, guys.